All right, welcome back to Cricket for Americans. Nick here.
Gabe, the Night Watchman.
And Gabe, we got some big news to talk about today. And I don't know about you on Twitter. You handle the Twitter, I handle Instagram. I got like 7 or 8 messages by the time I woke up. I was like, oh, something happened. And you already know what it is. You tune in, you already know what's going on. Virat Kohli has stepped down as captain. And before I get your initial thoughts and your extended thoughts, let me just start off by saying this. And I'm never going to hide from what I said. I have said for a while now, and a big part of it is being such a big fan of Indian cricket and being very passionate about it. I have said for a while now that they need to make a change at captain. Okay? I said captaining all 3 formats, RCB, everything else is too much. And I think that it's time for a change. Have I said that during test live streams? Yes. During shorter, limited overs format? Yes. I've said it through all of it, and I stand by that. But once he stepped down as the RCB captain, once he stepped down forced to step down, basically is how it seems, from limited overs, I do not like this news. I respect it. I appreciate it. I understand where Virat's coming. I have nothing against him whatsoever. We'll read his statement in a second. But my initial thought, Gabe, is this is not good. I am not happy about this. With all the trash, if you want to call it, but I was just being honest that I've said about him as a captain, I want him to stay as the test captain myself. That's my initial thought. Everyone, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for joining us on another installment of Cricket Convos. And you know what? I got to agree and disagree with you. I don't think that this is good for a myriad of reasons that we're going to discuss, okay? First and foremost, you know me. I always back the athletes. And I think that it's not right. I saw this coming, all right? The writing was on the wall. If anybody's shocked that this happened, then you haven't been paying attention because – he went from stepping down as a T20 captain because of all the rumblings and talks, right? Media, BCCI, all this garbage. Then he was literally, they lit him up like, well, you're stepping down from T20, but you've got the hardest job in the world, which is RCB. What's more pressure packed than that? Okay, I'm stepping down from that. Then they stripped him of the ODI. The writing was on the wall. And
I am shocked, though. I am shocked. I did not think this was going to happen so soon. Less than 4 months away.
I saw it coming, and I do not like how they treated the athlete, in my opinion. With that being said, I think that it's going to be both a benefit and it's going to be there's pros and cons to it. And we'll talk about that. I think that in the long run, the Indian team may get better. Okay, because as the captain goes, guess what? This regime is going to go. So a lot of the players that we know shouldn't be on the team right now that are holdovers that Kohli may have been fighting for aren't going to be there. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And now whoever does get the captaincy, people are going to be like, oh, you see, he was a better captain. Let's make one thing clear. Virat Kohli is the greatest, by the numbers, Indian captain in history.
Ever.
Period. Yes. All right? Then Sachin
wins
and all those guys, all right? And no disrespect to those guys. So you're going a little far-fetched with putting who on this team, and that's what I'm telling you right now, Nick. The first thing I thought is, the first name that people are talking about is KL Rahul. You think he's ready to take the reins on this team?
I would assume not. I got 2. That's a very interesting question. We'll get to that in a second, but I want to know real quick. Do you like this move? You personally, do you like this move? Okay.
No, I think
I want to make sure.
It's initially going to be bad for the team because whoever's thrown in that captaincy is going to end up. And if they're talking KL Rahul, I'm just thinking the same thing we saw with Kapil Dev, a younger guy trying to captain this team with big personalities, of guys that are, superstars in and of themselves. Virat Kohli is not going anywhere. So if you're captain, he's still on this team. You know what I mean, bro? This is whoever you put in there. It's going to be a bad situation, and I just don't like the way that they treated Kohli over the last 4 or 5 months, so I do not like the move. That's my personal opinion.
I got a question for you, a really quick one, because you've sparked so many things I want to say about this, which I appreciate. Question for you and for the comment section. And please, anything I ask Gabe or he asks me, please feel free to comment below. You guys know how much we love interacting with you, even if it's a troll fest. And Gabe, do you think there's a chance that this is a preamble to within a year he's done playing cricket internationally?
No.
Okay.
No. I think that, and I mean, I appreciate that
because my fear level goes from like a 1%. Anything could happen. It's raised to about 10%. I'm not gonna lie. I do not want him to go anywhere.
Had he kept the RCB captaincy, then I could say, okay, he's gonna do what. And we just saw Quentin de Kock step down from. So people are gonna say he's too young. De Kock is really young as well, and just stepped away from South African cricket. Right? A lot of guys have retired and say, you know what? I don't need this drama. I don't need this stress. I'll just go play in the domestic league, the T20 leagues, make my money. So could it happen? Yes. And I hadn't even considered that when you brought it to me. I'm like, wow, Virat Kohli just step away from the game totally? That would be insane to me. I don't think so. I think he's got too much pride. I think it's one of those situations where he's going to stay and play for at least a few more years. But maybe, wow, that's a great question, Nick. That's a great question.
He's got the new kid, right? I mean, he's been married for a while, but he's got the brand new kid. And I'm not, please, guys, please. I know not CFA Nation. I know not you guys. But let's leave the kid completely out of it. But let me use it for this one example. He seems captaincy-wise different ever since new life got brought into his life. He has his own child. Could be a coincidence, timing. It could be a lot of different things. But maybe, I don't know what kind of father he is, but a lot of us who become fathers, we want to spend as much time as we can with that child, with that person, because we know what it's like growing up, and we want to give those kids as much as possible. Different topic, but I'm just throwing it out there. It's interesting. This is something that I'm not happy about, and I'll tell you why. The Indian team as a whole has underperformed. And I'm the idiot like 2 weeks ago on this channel posted a video winning that first match in South Africa. Woo, they're the best, deepest team in the last 20 years. All right, I get it. I'm going to beat myself up for that later. Don't worry about it. They, in my opinion, underperformed, even though they've never won a series in South Africa. They underperformed bowling and batting. I mean, what was that one innings where Kohli got 79 and everyone was combined for like 5? I mean, it was absolutely atrocious. Exaggeration intended. Everyone is underperforming. Even when I've been my harshest towards Kohli, I have never once said he is the one reason why India lost this match. Stop it. Okay? Stop it. And you can say, Nick, that's why we need a change of captain. Okay, whatever. But this is something that is extremely interesting to me. But the reason why I want him to stay as a test captain is I don't think he's done. He's not a captain of anything besides, his co-captain of his family, for crying out right now. He has a whole lot left in that captaincy tank. 7 years, and almost all of those 3 formats, 4 if you count the IPL. You're going to learn a whole lot of stuff about bringing a team together. Right. And I truly respect his decision. We'll get to his statement in a second, because basically, reading between the lines, I took it as I don't have the 120% passion for being the captain right now. And I'm always going to be honest with my team. And it's time for me to step down. But this team, could it be Kohli's fault? I don't know. Maybe. I think it's a bigger atmosphere above him. But this team in South Africa, in my opinion, are kind of in disarray right now.
You mentioned something earlier on, and it may or may not have something to do with the kid, but it does have something to do with the circumstances, all right? The last 2 years, Nick, has been unprecedented. And here in America, we're going through what's called the Great Resignation, where a lot of people are just, they spent that year at home in quarantine on lockdown, and they got to reprioritize. Like, look, you know what? Why am I working and killing myself for an employer who doesn't appreciate me if I can make the same amount of money working at home? Or even if I take a pay cut, it's worth it to not spend 80 hours in the office. To your point, I got to spend time with my family, rediscover that passion. And that is us. What about these athletes cricket doesn't stop. There is no off season, Nick.
They never stop.
No off season. So
if you watch his life, he's always busy.
They're always on the road. They're always in quarantine bubbles. How many players have opted out because of quarantine bubble fatigue? Yeah. You know what I mean? How many players have gotten in trouble, not just in cricket and other sports, for breaking quarantine because it's a real thing. So to your point, I think that may be a reason where it was like, look, it's just too much. You saw Ben Stokes take some time off because of mental health. You know what I mean? Who needs more mental health than Kohli? The guy is one of the greatest captains in Indian history, and he's attacked by everyone, like, for the love of Pete. And I'm next of India fan. I'm West Indies fan, okay? And now USA Cricket. But I respect Kohli as a player, and man, the guy is absolutely no matter what happens, he can't do anything right. So much expectations are placed on him because of how good he is and has been as a player. You know, I was listening to somebody else say, oh, you cannot be the Indian captain when you haven't scored, a century in 700 days or something to that effect. He just scored an 80. He was the highest scorer of that first innings. Second innings, of course, it was Pant. But give him 21 more runs. Would it have changed the outcome of the game? No, it wouldn't have changed. They still would have lost. What about Rahane? What about all the other guys that K.O. Rahul, who people are talking about, is going to be the new captain? And like, again, I feel bad if it's K.O. Rahul because you're putting way too much pressure on this young guy. All right, dude, where was everybody else? Kohli also doesn't bowl. What about Boomer? Got himself a fifer, right? He got himself a 5-wicket haul. Where were all the other bowlers? All right, 20 more runs was not going to dictate winning or losing that test match and that series. So to your point, Nick, bottom line is, I don't understand. Like, it was Kohli and like 5 people went down for like 7-8 runs. It was insane. Where's the criticism for that? This whole team underperformed. Now, you may say, hey, that's because of the quarantine fatigue. Leadership. That's because of the leadership. Yeah. That's because of whatever. Fine. That's an argument you can make. But what I don't want to see is and that's the next topic I want to come to. There's going to be ramifications to Kohli being gone. Rahane, done. Guaranteed, done. It's going to be, bro, this regime is gone. Because every time there's a new regime change, right? A new captain is put in, they bring in their own guys, all right? And Rahane is a relic of that older generation, right? Along with Pujara. Those 2 guys are gone, in my opinion. I could be wrong. But now if you bring some other guys in, some young blood guys in, and they start winning, were you still captaining the same team? No. So, but I just think it's going to be difficult to come out and say without a shadow of a doubt it was all on Kohli. It's not. It cannot just be on that one guy. You and I said captaincy in cricket's got to be the worst professional job in professional sports, period. Because win or lose, you're going to be reamed and things that aren't even in your control. You could be the top performer like he was in that first inning, and all the talk was about, oh, well, did he guide his bowlers correctly? He can't bowl from them. All he can decide is who's going to come in and bowl. You know what I mean? I don't get it, Nick. I just don't, man.
First of all, ask me if I care whatsoever after watching cricket for almost 2 years now about him not getting a century in the last whatever. As far as the captain goes, I don't care at all. How many centuries is Pat Cummins going to be getting, for crying out loud? I get it. He's a bowler. He's not a batsman or batter. I can care less about that whatsoever. That's just me. Now, you bring up an interesting point about Rahane and Pujara. I feel, just my feeling, my opinion, I feel like the selectors love those 2. And I feel like Rahane might be liked by a lot of players. I could be very wrong. You could be very right. It'll be interesting to see what happens with those guys especially. But let me read the statement because I keep saying I'm going to read it and I haven't read it yet. And we keep talking about this. Is what Kohli said. In case you missed it, he tweeted this out. He said, "It's been 7 years of hard work, toil, and relentless perseverance every day to take the team in the right direction. I've done the job with absolute honesty and left nothing out there. Everything has to come to a halt at some stage. And for me as Test captain of India, it's now. There have been many ups and also some downs along the journey, but never has there been a lack of effort or lack of belief. I have always believed in giving my 120% in everything I do, and if I can't do that, I know it's not the right thing to do. I have absolute clarity in my heart, and I cannot be dishonest to my team. That's the interesting part. I want to thank the BCCI for giving me the opportunity to lead my country for such a long period of time, and more importantly, to all the teammates who brought into the vision I had for the team from day one and never gave up in any situation. You guys have made this journey so memorable and beautiful. To Ravi Shastri, and the support group who were the engine behind this vehicle that moved us upwards in Test cricket consistently, you have all played a massive role in bringing this vision to life. Lastly, a big thank you to MS Dhoni, who believed in me as captain and found me to be an able individual who could take Indian cricket forward. Beautiful words. I love what he said there. To me, again, it seems like for whatever reason, the passion of leading this team as captain is no longer there. And let me tell you this right now. If the Indian Test captaincy was a building, they're installing the revolving door right now, because let that door revolve as far as people taking breaks for health, quarantine, IPL, everything else. It's gonna be one of those situations, in my opinion. This is hyperbole, but at the end of 2022, it's gonna be like, oh, how many captains we see for Indian Test this year? 6 of them. That's interesting. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting thing. But the sky has not fallen, okay? I know I seem upset. I'm not happy with this news, but I'm not upset. But I'm, like Gabe said earlier on, I'm looking forward to seeing what could happen with this team. The U19 Indian team of years past was fantastic. You basically have a lot of those guys on there right now. You have Dravid already as the coach. So it's interesting to see that new wave come in. Now, before we get into who we think will be the next captain as far as long-term, Gabe, any thoughts about his words there?
I think that it was class. And here's the thing.
Absolutely. I agree.
That whole statement, he doesn't attack the BCCI, which he could have easily done. He could have attacked the media. He could attack a whole bunch of people. Like, this is what you guys wanted, right? You guys wanted me to step down. You stripped me of the ODI. Bro,
I'm petty. Love that.
I'm petty. I would have done it. You know me, bro. I'm petty.
I can see it.
I'm petty.
I can see it.
But he showed class. And for as rowdy as Kohli is, and that's why I like Kohli, because honestly, Kohli, the fire he plays with, you know what I mean? Bro, you know how you've got certain words that are always buzzwords to go with athletes, right? There was, I think it was a Dave Chappelle, a Dave Chappelle skit where he was like, "Oh, he's a gym rat." That means like, "Oh, he's a white guy." There's like, "Oh, he's a firecracker." Oh, he's Hispanic, right? Because Hispanics are loud. Like there's always buzzwords in sports that commentators use, and when they use those words, they're referring to Kohli is a firecracker. He ain't Hispanic, bro, but he's fiery. He's got that fire in his blood, and I love him for that.
Is what they're gonna miss, in my opinion.
And I love him for that. Like, no fear, bro. And that's what I think that, man. That's why this statement just shocked me, because he was so humble. And even after he was a press conference I was watching online, and they were talking to him about another topic I wanted to briefly mention. And they were like, Kohli, does this have anything to do with this, last loss in South Africa in the series? And to his credit, he's like, listen, we just didn't score enough runs, didn't get on the bowling. Although I could say, hey, the bowlers, yes, there weren't a lot of runs scored, but it was a tough wicket. Bowlers other than Ashwin, not a wicket in that second inning. All right, your boy, or was it the first inning? Your boy Mohammad Shami, I think he got 1 wicket. Again, Boomer did his job and kept his economy rate low. Other guys, not so much. So what I say is, he could have thrown other people under the bus, and he didn't in that press conference. And what he said, it was crazy, because they tried to bait him. They said, well, do you think it would have been different? Would this decision been the same had you won the series? And he's like, look, it's a totality of everything that's going on, and I just don't feel like I'm the right person to lead this team right now. But, there was some controversy in the series, and they were great reporter. You were yelling at the mic stumps, the Sky Sports. We've seen some bad calls. They even brought up the Nathan Lyon LBW that was not an LBW. This is horrible. And nobody that saw that ball could tell me that wasn't a wicket. And Kohli did not take the bait, Nick. He was like, ultimately, it was 1 wicket. that wasn't going to change the outcome of the series. At the moment, I was mad. I yelled at the stumps. I should have been more. I should have approached it differently as a captain. But we don't make excuses. We lost that one missed call or that one wicket would not have changed the outcome. Like, he didn't look for excuses. He didn't take the bait to say, "Oh yeah, we got what do you call it? We got jobbed out there in South Africa. It was a horrible call. Go back and look at it." Again, we've seen some really bad calls when it comes to DRS. Again, they mentioned it at the press conference, and it's the first thing I could think about. That Nathan Lyon LBW, which wasn't it against India as well, Nick? That like, how was that not a wicket? I can't even remember. How was that not a wicket? I was insane. But bottom line is, he just said, I didn't do. The only time he said I in that press conference, I did not lead this team to victory. So unfortunately, I think it's come time for somebody else to take the reins and lead Team India. Like, for a guy that's so fiery to not take the bait from the reporters, for a guy that's so fiery to not throw anybody else under the bus, bro, he showed so much class. I tip my hat to Kohli.
Well, you see his fire on the field, and I'm not a Kohli expert, but you see his fire on the field. He's always been classy. I mean, this guy, he's like the founder of so many different companies, and he's running different things, and he's a brand, for crying out loud. But yes, he definitely handled that with the utmost class, absolutely. And I, for one, this may shock a lot of fans or a lot of viewers of this channel, I, for one, am very unhappy about the decision, but I completely respect it. Now, talking about who's going to be the next captain, I have a few thoughts here. My initial thought is, obviously it's going to be Rohit, but do you really want, when he's healthy and fit, you really want to do that to another captain, have him be the captain of all three formats? Is that really what we want to do right here? Me personally, no. I'm all for a different captain in each format. See what the guy can do in each format. See what's going on. You kind of don't have like a dictatorship going on. Not calling Kohli a dictator. It's just an idea of one person running everything. But me personally saw it work out, in 4+ matches so far for Australia. I think it might be time for a bowler to be a captain. And I have no idea if Bumrah, what his history is as far as leading a team as a captain.
No.
Why?
I'm sorry. I'll let you finish.
No, you never let me finish, first of all. So come on. But why? I want to know why. So go ahead.
Same thing as KL Rahul. Nick, why would you put these young superstars in a position?
Hasn't Bumrah been on the team for much longer than KL Rahul on the test side?
He's still a young guy. What is he, 25?
You got to be 30 years old? You got to be 30 to be a captain?
But, Nick, you're going to go on a team and try to command the respect of guys that are a decade, some of them, older than you. And
who's their best pacer right now? Who's the pacer you count the most?
Bumrah. So
he doesn't have the faith and the respect of the guys?
How did that work?
As the best, most dependent pacer?
And I'm not saying because he's a bowler.
How old is Pat Cummins? Is he super old right now?
He's like 29. He's like 29, 30 years old. But here's the thing. I just think that you putting this kind of pressure on young guys, Nick, is not a good thing. It just isn't. All right. They got to worry. You yourself mentioned the best player on the team doesn't necessarily have to be the captain. Because when you're worrying about captain, you're worrying about who you're fighting for to get into the side.
I'm not looking for the best player. Bumrah's 28 years old, by the way. He's not as young as you think he is. I'm not choosing Bumrah because I think he's the best player on the team. He's a very good player. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I want this team to be led with a different mindset. If you're going to change things up, let's change things up, for crying out loud. Let's let a bowler have that mindset, because you talk about the bowling. Right. I mean, the tail end is one thing. That's not going to change. The tail end is going to be horrible as far as batting goes.
Right.
But I've noticed India struggling immensely with being able to get those wickets, those big time wickets for the openers and for the tail enders, for crying out loud. Maybe we need someone to lead the charge. I'm not sure what kind of difference it's going to make. Who's got that bowling? Who is a bowler themselves? Maybe, I have no idea, but maybe they would provide a different perspective. I know you're going to say Jadeja or something like that, but I really think my dark horse would be someone, and maybe Shami's better. I have no idea, but I would like to see a bowler as a captain for India, because it does not happen too often. And I don't want Rohit to be the captain of everything. If you want Rohit to be the captain of Test, then fine. Let someone else captain the limited format. I don't want to see the same guy captain all, because that's right there way too much pressure.
You know what? Wow, you were right. I didn't realize, and I forget that these guys were considered young when we started watching cricket almost 3 years ago now, a little over 2 years ago. But yeah, and KL Rahul is now 28 years old. So they're both getting older. I just think that it's going to cause, here's why not Rohit, bro. Rohit's old. Rohit's like 35, bro. So how much cricket does Rohit got left in him? No, but this
He's
is
got
my
a few years.
But
they need a captain. They need a captain for tomorrow. They're not worried about the next 10 years.
But you yourself said that you want a longevity, right? You don't want a revolving door around captain. So you want a guy that can give you 5 to 7 years.
What I'm speaking is what I can see the BCCI doing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But you don't want, Rohit can't give you 7 years. What? He's going to be playing at 42 years old, 43 years old? Stop it. Stop it. Come on. I mean, not everybody's Tom Brady. Let's be honest, okay? Most cricketers retire, and we've seen all the guys that have retired since we started watching cricket from international scene, in their 30s, in their mid-30s to late 30s, 37, 38, 36, 39, whatever. So I wanted them to pick a captain that's going to be, longevity. And you just proved a very good point to me. I did not realize that Bumrah was 28. I guess maybe I just figured him to be, I thought he was younger. You know what? Why not Bumrah then? You're right. Why not Bumrah? Go to a bowler.
Oh, and before he interrupts. I see how it is.
I just don't want whoever gets this job. Here's what I'm thinking, Nick. You're still going to have to think about the fact that Kohli is on this team. And if you make the wrong decision or a decision he wouldn't have made, you're going to be criticized by the media. And, oh, by the way, I don't think Kohli's going to be a quiet guy not to say something. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you shouldn't have done that. You should do this. You should do that. You just don't want to put a player in that situation where he has to kind of, battle with a hero. Because let's be honest, a lot of these young guys, Kohli's a hero to them. He's a legend to them. So it's going to put him in an awkward position. And I still think about the whole Kapil Dev situation when he took over the captaincy. And even young guy, other greats like Sachin. You put young guys in there where there's these senior veteran guys on the team, and you're going to have some kind of pushback from the team. That's my only concern. But you were right. I didn't realize Bumrah is now getting into that, the prime age of being an athlete, 28, 29. And he just took a 5-wicket haul. He looks like their best bowler. He looks like their best pacer. Maybe it changes the mindset. It has worked for Australia. So, I got nothing to say.
Well, that's surprising. With KL Rahul, I didn't realize he has more matches than Pat Cummins or Bumrah. Talk about Pat Cummins as a recent captain. I don't want him to be captain because I think there's enough pressure as an opener. And in my dream world, you have KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma both opening. Let me tell you why I don't care about Rohit Sharma's age whatsoever as far as the captain. He's 34 right now, okay? But age does not bother me. We have a WTC season happening right now. For me, that's what I would be focused on. It may be stupid. I don't know what your guys' opinion is. Let me know below. I want to know it, but I don't know what it is. But I want a captain for this WT season. And we'll see from there. We'll reconvene how that captain did after that point. And I think Rohit Sharma has a lot left in the tank. I thought that was the obvious choice. Could be wrong. Let us know what you guys think. Who should be the captain there? But there's going to be changes, absolutely. I still think the revolving door, I think a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We're going to try this. We're going to try that. We'll see what happens. Gabe, you had mentioned that there was something else you wanted to bring up on this topic. The floor is yours, my friend.
So I feel like bottom line is there's going to be a new captain, and with a new captain comes in a new regime, right? They're going to fight for their guys. Again, Rahane is a relic of the past, right? He's, Kohli's guy, so to speak, right? Same thing with, that was the vice captain. Same thing with Pujara. And Pujara's been under a lot of heat for a long time. And his play has not really warranted him staying in there. So if Rahane and Pujara go, who do you think are going to be the guys to replace him? And even with that being said, another bowler who might just be past his prime, bring in another guy like a Umesh. I'm not sure Umesh Yadav is completely done, but I think Rohit, for sure, Rahane and Pujara are done. Who do you think from these young guys? KL Rahul's already on the side, and you could say, well, you've already got the opening partnership with KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal. So once Rohit comes back, that kind of solves itself. Maybe that's a situation, but maybe Mayank hasn't really established himself as that opener, and Rohit is an opener. So maybe it's KL Rahul and Rohit, and what happens. But I can guarantee you both those guys, if not one of them, are gone for sure. Because KL is not going anywhere, and Rohit will be back here eventually. It's not like Kohli's going anywhere. What are your thoughts, my friend?
I don't see Agarwal taking Rahane or Pujara's spot. I don't. I think I just, it's not what I don't want to happen. I just don't see that happening from what I've seen from the BCCI and their selection as of recently. I think that it's time to step away, to go on a Ross and Rachel break from Pujara and Rahane personally, because have they reached their ceiling? I believe they have. Is there any more there that they have not done? They themselves will say, oh, no, I've not reached my ceiling. I got plenty left. I get that. I think they've reached their ceiling. So it's time to commit. If you're going to commit to an Agarwal, I think he's done more than enough in this called an audition this last series to warrant some more looks. But I honestly, and maybe my mind is blank, I cannot think of someone right now from the top of my mind that should be breaking through the doors and making their spot to replace Rahane and Pujara. And maybe that's why they've lasted so long. They sprinkle a little bit of a Hari there, but I don't think it's a long-time answer. They sprinkle an Agarwal. You know, Gill hasn't had a shot for a while, but I don't think he's the answer. Maybe it's time to look at a Shah. But that would be, you'd have to give him like a year commitment, in my opinion. I know they don't have contracts like that, but you can't give him a one and done.
You got to
give these guys, exactly. You got to give these guys a shot. So I don't know where their mind's at. It's a really interesting question, but I wouldn't be surprised the next series that they have, if you have Pujara and you have Rahane in there. I'd be more surprised if Pujara wasn't in there. I can see Rahane getting out before Pujara. The last thing I want to say is this. Please, Team India, Rahul Dravid, BCCI, please do not make Rishabh Pant the captain.
There's no
Anyone
way.
Knows me.
He's 20.
Anyone knows me.
He's 23.
That is not hate for Rishabh Pant. I love this guy. I support this guy. I cannot wait to see what happens with Rishabh Pant. That would be the worst thing you could ever do.
He's
Please.
too young. He's way too
don't
young.
do that.
No, he's
Absolutely.
way too young. And I just
when I say young, I mean experience. I know you mean age. I mean experience. Please don't do that.
I just don't see him doing that. He finally got out of his slump, gave us a century, let him continue to keep. It's hard enough being a wicketkeeper and a captain, for the love of Pete. And being that young, there's no way. But you know what? The fact that you said it, watch that be.
That's why I'm scared.
We're like, oh my God. Could you imagine?
That's why I'm pleading. Please don't do it.
Gosh. And then think about it. You got to have a certain demeanor if you're a captain. Do you want, honestly, the guy to be in charge of your reviews to be Rishabh Pant? You've heard him when he's behind those stumps, right? You heard him behind those. He doesn't have the maturity for no way. Can you imagine? Oh, that would be hilarious. But Nick, this has been a great conversation. Don't. Unfortunately, a sad day, in my opinion, for cricket, Indian cricket. Absolutely. Definitely a sad day for Virat Kohli. We've enjoyed watching him in the short time that we've been watching cricket for 2 years. I tell you what, this is why I don't think that he's done. Because, Nick, now the pressure of the world is off his shoulders. And there were other Indian captains in the past who have failed as captain, giving up the captaincy. And again, people are going to say Virat Kohli failed. Then that means every single Indian captain has failed, because the last time I checked, he's got the best winning percentage. You know what I'm saying? If you want to go strictly by the numbers. So, who was it? It wasn't Kapil Dev. Who was the captain that lost the captaincy, gave it up? Was it Sachin? And then, like, after that, he was always a great batsman.
He was one of them.
Yeah, just blew up. It's you just so much pressure's off you. You don't have to be the guy at the end of the match or at the beginning of the match answering questions, dealing with reporters, dealing with drama, dealing with the selection committee, fighting for other players to be in. All Virat has to do now is focus on his batting. Put me in, Skip. Let me bat. And that, to me, is going to take so much pressure off him. Watch out if we start seeing that Virat Kohli that everybody knows he is, that everybody's dying for. Again, I don't see a lot of difference from an 80 to 100, a century. Mind you, even to me, he had 30 runs on 134 balls. When everybody kept losing their wickets, he kept showing that test demeanor of being able to see balls. Imagine if everybody was able to see 50, 60 balls, 70 balls. Okay. It puts you wear down the opposition, you wear down the bowlers, you beat up the ball, it gets a lot softer. So many good things happen from there. You could have even drawn that game out. So many different things. But of course, that didn't happen because it was him, Pant, and again, what other batsman was out there battling? What other batsman was out there trying to save this series for them? You know what I'm saying? But I think we may see some fire under Virat Kohli, and now that he doesn't have to worry about all the nonsense and he can just focus on his batting, we're going to see some great performances. So he's not done, my friend. I'd be shocked if he was done and like you said, retired. But Quentin de Kock just retired, and everybody in the world was shocked about that because he's also, quote-unquote, a young guy.
Absolutely. Great thoughts there. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us know what your thoughts are. If you watch this entire thing, we love you. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time.
That's 6 runs.